video games are for nerds. But that doesn't mean we can't talk about them. That's why you're listening to The Week in Gaming, the only gaming podcast that breaks down the last 7 days and tears games apart from the inside. Ugh. So forget your worries, open your ears, and join Simon Miller and a co-host for the entertainment chatter you need. Also, screw Dark Souls.
Hello, my name is Simon Miller, and welcome to the once again returning week of gaming. We're not going to get into it. If you're a patron, patreon.com/Simon316. All the information's up in there. Of course, that is what funds all of this. So if you want to go give me $1, that would be most lovely. Now, we are going to delve into the world of video games here. And I'm joined, I say as by always, which is kind of true, kind of not true, because sometimes the podcast doesn't exist. But my man Sam Bishop, how you doing, Sam? You well?
Yeah, doing quite good, thanks. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm back on track, back on form, hence why the podcast has returned to the airwaves. Now, we were having a brief discussion before we start. I mean, it is kind of a quiet time for video games at the moment, which is kind of a weird thing to say because Far Cry 5 came out, 2 weeks ago? So, you know, that's an exciting thing that people have to talk about. I've played it a little bit, so we can touch on that. But then God of War is next week. I know the reviews drop tomorrow if you're listening to this on Wednesday when it goes live. So there are a lot of big games coming. It just feels like news is slow on the ground.
Yeah, I think so. It's just like I was saying to you, there's been loads of stuff, but nothing like, oh, cool. Like, no big stuff. It's just all like, sort of stuff.
Yeah, maybe people are staying out the way. I mean, let's start with Far Cry 5. Have you played any of Far Cry 5?
Yeah, I've been playing it a lot because when I heard it was all co-op and I played Wildlands and my friend who played like 50 hours of Wildlands, I was like, okay, yeah, we have to get that game, and we've been playing it quite a lot. And yeah, it's really fun. It's one of those games that I would never play, I don't think, on my own. But because it's co-op, that just makes everything more fun.
See, I completely agree with you because I really liked Far Cry 3. I thought Far Cry 3 was a wonderful video game. And then when I came around to Far Cry 4, I was like, it's okay, but it straddles too much of the same content. I do think that's the same with Far Cry 5. I think they've added enough in there, and I think the setting and the story is good enough that you can get away with it. But I think you hit the nail on the head. I think they kind of know that, and I think almost Far Cry 5 to me is you're meant to play it in co-op. That's the way to do it in order to get away from any... I guess, you know, feeling like... I guess I felt a bit fatigued on the gameplay. It's the same problem I have with Bethesda games. It's my own fault. I play them too much, and now I need a break. And I think Far Cry 5, because I've been playing it by myself, has absolutely followed that trend. So I think, yeah, if I could play it with a friend or in co-op, all of a sudden that would be lifted, because basically I'm just mucking around with them.
Yeah, it's basically like, I think Ubisoft know that, like, as much as they're like all serious cult elements, they know it's like it's taking the piss. The whole thing is taking the piss, and just there's something about it where you just running along with your friend, and then a bear jumps out, and then you go. It's just inherently fun, and I think Wildlands took itself very seriously, and maybe I think they might have learned a lesson from that as well.
I think it's important as well because in most co-op games, you can have serious elements to them, but I think most co-op games are better when they are a bit silly, right? And especially something like Far Cry, where you've basically got an entire world to run around and do whatever you want. Like, why on earth... I think it'd be madness not to encourage people to try and come up with ways and means. I mean, I'm pretty sure... I think I'm right in saying this. When you play in co-op, it is just a single-player experience, but with a friend, right?
Yeah, it's exactly the same. So it's not hop in, hop out, but it's like jump in, jump out. It's not a separate thing.
Yeah. So how are you finding it in terms of just sort of the story they've introduced, the elements? I mean, I like all the... I'll go with... I don't know, cult, I guess, redneck cult. I don't know what you want to call it, but I do like all of that, and I think it does have a message to send, as much as Ubisoft say that it doesn't. But given that it's an 18, I mean, it does push the boundaries a lot. But I don't know. I think at times maybe they hold back a little bit, which I understand because they don't want any sort of backlash. I think it's a hard thing to balance. I don't know. How have you found it?
It's hard because it's like you say, a lot of it is really silly, and there's the whole of these characters like over the top and things like that. But then you get into these moments, like there's a bit where you can't, if you're in Jacob's region, there's no spoilers or anything, it's just a little thing. You can't choose this to happen, but at one point he decides to capture you, and then it triggers a cutscene involuntarily. And so you might be riding along and just having a laugh with your mate, get attacked by a cougar, and then it goes into this really dark, brooding cutscene. It's like it just jars a little bit because it's, like I say, it's so outrageous and outlandish. Then it suddenly goes all dark and culty, and it's a bit weird, I guess.
I think all the games are like that as well, aren't they? It's kind of do you ever play Far Cry 2?
No. Oh, actually, no, that was South Africa, wasn't it? Yeah,
That's the one where you could die from malaria and stuff.
Yeah.
Because that game really did take itself too seriously, and that's what a lot of people didn't like, and it tried to be as realistic as possible. And I think what they try and do now is, like, Far Cry 4 was the silliest one to me. It's almost like they try and blend those two ideas together. I do think that's a good idea, because it kind of caters for both markets. But you're right, the problem is, if you're sort of fighting a bear and you stumble across, the trigger line for a cutscene and you've got some dark hick stuff, it can be quite, I wouldn't say grating, but it can take you out the moment, I think. I don't know. The biggest problem for me is I've been playing it for about, 10 or so hours. I'm already getting a bit tired of it is very wash, rinse, repeat gameplay.
Yeah, like go there, shoot the dudes, blow some stuff up, shoot the dudes, blow some stuff up, save some people.
Yeah. And technically, it's very good. Like, it was amazing, I should say. Like, some of the stuff they've managed to pull off on next-gen consoles is brilliant. But, when Far Cry 6 comes around, I need something new, I think. I don't think... I was pulled back into this one because I like the idea of the cult stuff. I thought, that could be quite controversial for games. And I think that's true to a certain extent. But ultimately, I don't think I could play this for 10, 20 hours. Well, it could surprise me. I don't know. But that's what my gut tells me. This feels like a getting-off point.
It is so buggy, though. It is so buggy. And
I kind of give it a free pass with open world games. What have you seen?
Well, yesterday in co-op, my friend, because I was walking around just normally, and then he was like in fits of laughter. And I was like, why are you laughing so much? But because there's been a point where I had been downed, but when he revived me, I hadn't corrected that in his screen. So I was walking around, and what he was seeing was me dragging a lifeless body around the floor. So I was just skidding around the floor as a rag doll. And then when I got into a car, my guy was rotating up and around himself.
Amazing.
Oh my god, it was so funny. And like I glitched through things, and people have been unable to revive and stuff. So it's all been funny so far, but there'll be one where I'm just like, this isn't funny anymore because I can't complete this mission.
Yeah, it hasn't broken or anything yet, though.
No, it hasn't broken. No, it's just been funny little glitches and bugs.
It sounds more like WWE 2K. That's the bugs in that are always hilarious. They don't break. Well, sometimes they break something when your character falls through the ring, then you just got to start again. But hey, I guess it's different from that's just a match in a wrestling game as opposed from like 8 hours into an open world experience. I do like it though. I will keep playing it as and when I can. But yeah, I mean, has it had the impact that? I don't know. I mean, I've been kind of away from it. Do you feel like it's had the impact that a lot of people thought it would? Because it is a AAA game, but it's not necessarily that I've seen loads of people talking about it.
I don't think it's a surprise. I think it was always going to do well. I think it was hype building and it sold well. And now I think it's like, well, everyone expected that. And I think everyone was like, yep, it's good. It's not, it's because some people were afraid it could be more Far Cry. And I don't think it's quite that. It's not like Far Cry 4. So I think it's just sort of matched Ubisoft's expectations, probably not exceeded it. But the one bit of news is that it has actually sold almost as many as Assassin's Creed Origins on Steam.
That is interesting.
Which, like, Assassin's Creed Origins has been out since September.
Yeah, so it's doing well then, clearly.
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, I mean, hopefully they're supported with some good content as well. I know that's the plan. But, wow, I mean, that goes to show. It did well, Origins, as well, didn't it? Or at least I thought it had done well.
Yeah, Origins did well. I don't think that's a reflection of Origins. I think it's more of a reflection of, Far Cry 5. And I think Wildlands sold really well because it's co-op as well. I think the co-op has... Yeah, co-op has a lot of effect on that sort of thing.
Have you jumped into the Wildlands sort of Splinter Cell stuff?
Nah, I mean, once I finish Wildlands, me and my friend are like, okay, we're done with this game.
50 hours, yeah. I did watch some of the clips today, and there's some cool sort of Easter eggs about Solid Snake and Metal Gear Solid. I thought that was quite cute. But all it really did, as soon as I saw Sam Fisher, was like, can this just be a new Splinter Cell game, please? Can you just release one? Surely this must be a hint of that. Like, yeah. It seems a bit mean to say, oh, here's Sam Fisher back. However, we're not going. I don't know, actually. I don't know how the last Splinter Cell sold. So maybe maybe they've done it this way to try and give something to fans without bringing Splinter Cell back. I like Splinter Cell. I like all the Splinter Cells. I think they've all been good. Even the ones that haven't necessarily lit up the world, like the sort of Chaos Theory or whatever, I still think have been decent. So I'm surprised it hasn't come back yet.
I can't remember the last Splinter Cell game. What was that, Conviction?
There was one after Conviction. Let's look it up. We do this all the time on podcast. I swear there was one after Conviction. I'm probably wrong. I swear there was one, and that was the worst of them. But it was all right.
Conviction was great.
Blacklist. That was the other. Splinter Cell Blacklist,
okay.
Which was, I mean, it was kind of the same as as Conviction, but Conviction was really good. That's the one when you had all the text on the walls and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's they could bring another one back. I wouldn't be surprised, but it's just like Assassin's Creed is its own sort of pathway now. On Far Cry, we're not going to get another one for a while. So you think at E3 we might get a Splinter Cell?
It's been 5 years. I mean, it's literally been 5 years in August. So now is the time. Now is the time. I would say. I don't know. I don't know what Ubisoft's opinion on Splinter Cell is, but I would say like another one, especially Conviction. I was a big fan of. I think everybody liked Chaos Theory and. I like Double Agent as well. I thought Double Agent was... I like them all. I think they're all really, really fun video games.
Well, I mean, it's the time for revitalisation for Ubisoft. They've done it with Far Cry, not to the extent as Assassin's Creed Origins was. And I think they might be the time to pump life into Splinter Cell as well.
I think so, honestly, and I'm hoping that as opposed to, we can't get him anywhere else, so we'll put him here, that, his appearance in Wildlands is actually something more positive. But we'll see, look. You're right. What else can they announce? And what else is on their books? Sort of Far Cry and Assassin's Creed. Do we have an Assassin's Creed game this year? Or are they going 2 yearly again? Or are they going back to yearly now?
I think there's rumours that it's going 2 yearly. I don't think there's anything.
Well, in that case, they should absolutely do it. But I know they've got The Crew coming out soon as well. I don't know how that affects anything, but we will see. So the next big game we've got coming out, and like I say, reviews are going to drop tomorrow, is God of War or Dad of War, as it's been wonderfully named. What's your opinion on the God of War series, sort of before we jump into this, Sam?
It's all right. I mean, I don't seem to love it as much as everyone else does, but I got into it late. I think if you were playing it at the time when it was released, I think it would be sort of because it was a really good hack and slash game. But like I went into it like recently, and I was like, yeah, it's a hack and slash game. It's pretty good. But I haven't played 2 or 3 though, so I don't want to be that guy because everyone keeps yelling in your face when you haven't played 3 because 3 is apparently the best thing to ever happen to anyone.
I do love that trilogy. That trilogy is one of my favourite trilogies ever. Mostly, and this is what we're going to get into in a second, because of Kratos, whose sole character arc is I'm really mad. I'm really angry, and I'm going to go kick the shit out of everything. I'm like, that's cool, man. You want to do that? That's just fine. You go nuts. And that is why. Have you played any of the new one? Because I know there was a preview event recently.
No, I haven't. I wasn't really too interested, to be honest.
I mean, because I've read up a lot about it. A lot of people are praising the first 3 hours, and I know one review, which I won't reveal here because that would be wrong, that has done very well. As you'll find out tomorrow when all the reviews go live. But it does sound like a departure. Obviously, they've shifted the camera around for one. And, if nothing else, they've, obviously the focus now is his relationship with a child, which is kind of, I don't know, it's a stark contrast to me from a game that was more about, I'm really angry, I'm going to go destroy everything, now I'm going to take care of, I don't know how the kid works, I don't know if the kid can die or anything like that, but that's going to be the focus of the game, right? I've got to take care of this child. I just don't, and everyone says that there's a much sort of stronger focus on story and emotions and relationships, and all of that kind of stuff. I really don't know how that is going to translate into a God of War game. Now, the counter-argument to that is we've had 4 of these. We had that other one, which I can't remember what it's called, and obviously the trilogy. So it's probably good that they do something different, and also, these are now developers in their late 30s who probably do have children, so want to kind of take their feelings for that and apply it to a video game. I still am just astounded, even after reading these previews of, the first 3 hours of the game that really praise it, that we've decided to go in this direction with God of War. It's just, I don't know. I mean, look, I want to play it, and I want to be utterly proven wrong, but even with all of that, I still raise a slight eyebrow.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a case of like, as much as God of War fans would love more angry Kratos, I was about to say Kartos because it's just so funny.
You can say Kartos if you want. It's all right. It's fine.
But yeah, as much as people would like that, I think it would just be more like, because it was a trilogy of angry Kratos, and I think you just needed to, if you're going to bring him back, do it a little bit differently. Although it's surprising to hear that he's got a heartwarming relationship with the son. That's the direction they're going with.
Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he hates his kid. I don't know. I really don't know how it's going to translate.
Yeah, I mean, the Norse mythology is a really good shift, I think.
Yes, I think that works. I think that's okay because it's still within the same like remit. Do you know what I mean? Like it's still, I can't think of the right word, but I don't think that matters. I think that's still cool, and I still think that's still an area where you could see Kratos fitting in. So I don't mind that. And also, they probably pushed the Greek stuff as far as they could go. Like they've done a lot over the 4 games. So I think that's a smart shift. And I'm not saying this isn't going to be a smart shift. I'm just saying now that I've read up about it, and obviously the trailers, the gameplay, it still hasn't. I'm going to play it, absolutely, because I love God of War, and Kratos is one of my favourite characters. However, Yes, I'm still. I need convincing still, so I am intrigued to see what other reviews go up tomorrow and what people say about it. But I do think it's going to make a big splash. I mean, Sony have put loads of money into this. It's a huge push, which is quite clear. I think they want this to be huge, or at least that's my gut feeling from it anyway.
So, out of curiosity, why is Kratos one of your favorite characters?
Because he just
seems a bit angry.
I think it's stupid in many ways. Like his whole character arc was, I'm just so mad. I'm just so mad. He's a bit like Batman. It's just like, I can't control this anger or this rage, so I'm just going to go out and try and sort of right it with violence. And I think because that tied in so well to the gameplay, I really do like the gameplay of those games. It just clicked with me. I just like Kratos. He made me laugh. He made me happy. Maybe he made me happy because he was so simple. He was like, I can understand that. I can understand you being made Kratos. That makes perfect sense. But yeah, he just won me over. I think mostly, because he was so silly. Which is why I worry about this. Like, are we going to lose some of that? Is he going to be serious and emotional? Is that something I want? I don't know. So, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Are you going to play it? Is it on your list?
It's on my list somewhere, but not high on the list.
Okay, well, that's interesting because I tell you, man, like it seems to me that Sony want this to be, a game that's talked about for some time. I think they want it to be another Last of Us. That's what it feels like to me. They want it to kind of smash home in that kind of a region. Hence why it's just called God of War and not called God of War 5 or 4, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that's a sort of infuriating thing to do, though.
I don't get why they do it. It doesn't make any sense. Now there's 2 games that are called exactly the same thing, but are different games. That doesn't make any sense. You wouldn't do that. Well, I guess you do that with movies as well. The whole entertainment system is broken. Entertainment industry is broken, I should say. Other than that, I mean, the other stuff that sort of, I saw mostly people talking about. Actually, before we do that, is there anything you've been playing recently that we should touch on?
No, just a visual novel called 999 Zero Escape.
What is that? I don't know what that is.
It's just like it's been compared to Danganronpa, which is another game you might not know what it is.
I do know about Danganronpa, actually. I'm up on that one.
But yeah, it's just it's the usual visual novel things. Things get very disturbed very quickly. You're trapped on a ship. You wake up and you don't know why you're trapped on a ship. And I just, considering it's compared to Danganronpa, and I love it, I was just like trying that out. So I'm not very far into that. Well, so I'm playing Far Cry, a lot of Far Cry, and also Fortnite Battle Royale. So
well. You're not the only person. Have you tried it on mobile yet, or are you just were you on Xbox One, PS4?
I'm on PS4, but I don't have an iPhone, so I haven't tried it on mobile, and I don't think I'd want to anyway.
No, I don't either. I'm amazed it's been as successful as it is, all things considered. It sounds horrendous, the fact it's on mobile, but I mean, look, hey, it's making a hell of a lot of money, so they've clearly done something right.
Yeah, it made $1 million in 3 days.
I mean,
like,
it's just insane. I mean, I still haven't got around to playing it, so I mean. Are you on board? Has it got your hooks in, or are you just kind of jumping in to see why everyone's going crazy about it?
Yeah, it's got the hooks in. I'm not one of those people who's so entrenched in either a PUBG or Fortnite camp where I go to comment sections to try and ridicule the other, because that's just the worst thing. But no, it's just it's fun, and I think it's just that. I think that Battle Royale loop is just like right now just so in favour, because it's just something about it. Just like, I don't know, it just seems to be really got its hooks in people, like you say. And yeah, I don't know why Fortnite has got its hooks over PUBG, because I don't see any reason why. And the only reason I've got Fortnite is because it's free and on PS4, which is why I play with my friend. There's no other reason. That's half
the battle these days, right? It's a fun thing to do. It's a way to socially spend your time, and clearly the dynamic and the format they've got is really good. That's it. Done.
Yeah.
Done. I do need to get on it. I just I'll get round to it. I'll tell you what, you playing a Sea of Thieves?
No, I've been I've got one friend who's like, yeah, we should play that, and I have it, and it's just like just not got around to it, to be honest, because I enjoyed it at like previews, but just not got around to it right now.
I tell you, man, it's I don't know, like it's certainly not the game that I thought it was going to be. I don't mean this in a bad way. It's a bit shallower than I thought, which is a silly thing to say, because you've got this huge open world you can sail off within friends, which sounds nuts, but I mean, I don't know. It's kind of got a gameplay loop, which is quite, I think, if you've sort of seen the criticism, a lot of people have said that. It does fall into a pattern quite quickly. But with that said, it is so funny and it is so ridiculous. And I do enjoy the whole, we just got all this plunder. Oh, wait, a bunch of dudes have just come and stolen all our plunder. And people get mad about that, but that's pirating. I mean, that's exactly what pirating was.
Yeah.
And I think the fact you can be so quirky and silly, and I really like the sea battles as well. and trying to get a crew together with your mates is actually successful. I do think it's very entertaining, and I can see it having legs if they can continue to add content to it and make sure they continue to play off the silliness. And I definitely think it's one of Rare's best games for a long, long time. It feels very much like the Rare that we all knew and love, as opposed to the Rare that we got sort of 5-6 years ago or whatever, and they sort of hit their slump. And so that's nice. And I do think it's a great game for the Xbox to be able to boast that they have. And also, I just think sort of late at night, if you're with your mates, we were talking about co-op games earlier, it's not necessarily as engaging as something like Far Cry 5, but it technically maybe could be more fun for a shorter period of time, just because you are doing nut stuff. Like the other day, when I teamed up with my crew, everyone just got wasted first and just drunk loads of beer. I didn't know what was going on. I don't really know why we did this. Then we ate some bananas, and then off we went. And it's just, I don't know. It's just quirky, and it's funny, and it's silly. I think there's something there. I think potentially, if they can keep it going, I think it could grow a really nice community. But yeah, I completely understand the criticisms that it could use something else. What that else is, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you say, I think it's just like you had with Far Cry. Like, that, I think I'm going to get sort of a certain amount of hours in and be like, okay, I've done all I think I want to in this.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be one. Unless, like Wildlands, when the campaign ended and there was no more left to do, I was just like, what? And then I've not picked up since.
Yeah, well, I think it definitely could be like that. But at the
it
moment,
depends what you want, I guess.
Yeah. At the moment, though, I am enjoying it. It is making me laugh. So in that sense, I can't be too mad at it. Other than that, though, I think that's it. That's all I've been playing. All I've been playing recently, but I have been fun. I did want to talk about the everyone's going no nuts today on the old social media because Red Dead Redemption has come to Xbox One using enhanced backwards compatibility, which boosts it up to 4K and apparently makes it look amazing. Now, I haven't tested this out. I doubt you have as well, given it only happened today. But no. I don't know. I'm amazed that these kind of things attract the attention that they do. I don't want to sound too disparaging, but it's just, it's been everywhere. People go, oh man, I can't believe it. I'm like, I'm sure it's good, but is it really that good? I think that's my point with it. So I really want to get some feedback about this and see. Who's going back to Red Dead Redemption now just because it's in 4K? Maybe for sort of like 10 minutes to have a look, to see what it looks like. And maybe if you've never played it before, sure. But there's a lot of people saying they're actually going back to it properly now. I don't believe that for a second. I just don't.
Yeah. There was a thing a while ago where Microsoft actually said, like, look, you all talk about backwards compatibility, but we have the statistics right here, and hardly anyone uses it.
Yeah, exactly.
So just stop whining, because, like, they all want. I think a lot of people are like, yeah, woo, it's in 4K, but don't actually play it then. Because it's the difference between, like, just having a chance to celebrate the Red Dead Redemption and actually, saying, I really like the fact this is in 4K and I will now go back and replay it again. And I'm sure it does look fantastic, but, it's not Red Dead Redemption 4K. I think people are forgetting. It's Red Dead Redemption upscaled to 4K. And I think people just need to bear that in mind as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just thought it was very strange. There was a lot of excitement about it. I was like, it's just, I love Red Dead. Red Dead's one of my favourite games ever, but, all right. I don't know why we need to go. Look, I'm not saying that you shouldn't get excited if you want to get excited. I'm saying that's very, very good. However, I was just a bit taken aback by it. I should probably talk about as well, how much of Battlefront 2 did you play?
I played a little bit at previews and stuff, but certain situations meant that I was just like, I'd rather just avoid that for the time being.
Because they patched it obviously about a week ago, maybe a week and a half. I actually got into Battlefront 2 sort of end of last year or beginning of this year, and I did go back and like the patches, and it has streamlined the experience a bit. Like all the loot box stuff now is all cosmetic. It doesn't impact anything that you do in the game, and I think that's important because I think this, Battlefront 2, beneath all of that nonsense, was actually a decent shooter, obviously with the Star Wars license, which makes it, gives it an instant step up. Yeah. And this takes away, because what I really hated, it wasn't even the fact that the microtransactions or the loot boxes or anything like that, while I understood the complaint and agreed with them, to me it was this whole meta game that you had to jump into. I think we may have talked about this before, but this whole thing that when you load it up, you have to sit there and go through all these boxes over and over again. It was just so boring. Yeah, that's kind of what really did it for me. I don't want to do this, even if I am getting positives or productive things out of these crates. I just want to play the game. I just want to shoot people with laser guns, and that really did drive me nuts.
Yeah, it's a real shame because it's like No Man's Sky. Like No Man's Sky is a good game now, from what I've heard. I haven't played it. I didn't have any interest from the start, but it's just the damage is done. Like the damage has already been done. And from what I played of Battlefront 2, it is a really good game, and it's really shiny, really got loads more characters than the first game. But nobody ever really pays attention to that now, even with these changes made, because it's just too far gone for a lot of people.
Yeah, which I completely understand. Like, that's first impressions are important. If you really did like it and you want to go back into it, it's better now. And like I say, you don't have to jump through all these flipping hoops constantly. But yeah, I think you're right. I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think they've just made such a mess of it, much like No Man's Sky, which obviously in the past couple of weeks also got it's coming out on Xbox One this year, right, with a big new update.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a new lease of life, I think.
Do you think would you go back to it? I didn't like No Man's Sky; it just wasn't for me at all.
Well, I've not played it, so I didn't have any hope for it going into it. I sort of heard that it was bad, and it sort of just passed me by, all that furore. So it might just going into it without sort of not much knowledge about it, I might be like, okay, it's really good. So yeah, maybe it's good not to be part of the hype train sometimes.
I think it definitely is for me. I mean, I tried No Man's Sky just out of intrigue, and yes, that's not a video game for me. That is a slow ass video game.
Did you try it when it came out?
Yeah. I think it was either when it came out or just before. I can't remember, it was a preview build or whatever, but it just wasn't. Yeah, it's just exhausting. it just wore me out. But I know a lot of people love that game, and I think it's good that it's coming to Xbox One. This whole big patch they're doing sounds like it's going to add a new lease of life into everything. So I'm sure in the long run it will be. Well, I'm sure it's doing fine already. Other bits or little bits of news that I know came out since we were last on: the Spider-Man PS4 game is coming out September 7th.
So buzzing.
Are you excited about it?
Yeah.
Why? Sell me on it, because as a man that doesn't like Spider-Man, I don't know how do they top Spider-Man 2 on the GameCube or the PS2? That was it. It was perfect. What else could they do?
That game. I just like Spider-Man 1 and 2 on the PS1 were much better than Spider-Man 2.
I never even played this. I can't even comment.
Yeah, but it just looks like. I think the name sets the tone. It just looks like they're like, okay, we're doing away with the shattered dimensions and the web of shadows and whatever. Oh, I just don't know how many titles they've released in the last 10 years with just weird subtitles and weird subplots. And it's just like, here is Spider-Man in New York taking on an enemy. And that's just like, great, thank you. Just back to basics. And it's Insomniac and they know what they're doing. And I think it all looks so far good, and a lot of people are just like, oh, it looks really quick time events heavy, but we've only had one gameplay trailer, and that's a very scripted, very staged thing, and I don't think it's enough we haven't actually seen a lot of the game, so I think it's too early to say either way whether what we've seen looks good or not. So
I think that's fair.
Optimistic, I'd say. Not doesn't look good because I don't think we've seen enough of it, but I'm optimistic.
I think it's a huge coup for Sony. I mean, having that as your having a superhero game as an exclusive, I think is massive, especially because look, Spider-Man's already massive. We've got the new Avengers film coming out in a couple of weeks. It's like it's going to go away anytime soon. So I think actually having that on their books maybe I'm exaggerating here. I'm sort of thinking about this before I say it. I think sure that's one of the biggest exclusives that either of them have.
I think so, yeah.
I mean, in terms of given how big Marvel is right now. I mean, God of War, for example, yes, it could potentially be huge, but God of War doesn't have the same mass appeal as Spider-Man does. And yeah, like we talked about Sea of Thieves, great video game, but it's not flipping Spider-Man. I'm amazed Microsoft let that fly. I really am. I think that's somewhat surprising.
I think it's a risk, though, because like you say, there hasn't been a good Spider-Man game, a blockbuster, a successful one for ages. And I don't know whether it's just hard whether to know how much new stuff they'll bring, how much stuff they'll bring, because there are stuff like web swinging in Spider-Man 2 and the PS2 that worked, and it doesn't seem to have reproduced in the last sort of 10 years or so. So it will be really interesting to see what they do and how much of it is actually new.
I mean, we'll find out, right? I mean, it's coming from a studio that knows what they're doing. I certainly trust them. And hey, man, look, I may not be a big Spider-Man fan, but do I want a good Spider-Man game? Of course. That would be awesome, right?
Yeah.
I certainly wouldn't be against that. But yes, that's coming out in September. And also, around the same time, coming out in, I think, September as well, is the new Tomb Raider game. And again,
yes,
I know this
Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah, I know this is old news, but we haven't been on the air for a while, so we're talking about it. Now, I love both Tomb Raider and Rise of the Tomb Raider. I think they are both fantastic games. In many ways, especially that first one, the reboot, what we want to call it, is underrated. Now, I always say this, and people look at me like I'm nuts. I think that is one of the best 8 out of 10 games ever. Which people are like, well, why isn't it 10 out of 10? It's like, no, I don't mean that. I mean, in terms of what you believe an 8 out of 10 game to be, that is the perfect 8 out of 10 game, and I love it.
Yeah, it's just like, the reason I love it is just because it's a dumb over the top adventure, just like Uncharted, but it's not Uncharted.
Yep.
And it's just a fun. You go through, you shoot things, you go through ridiculous, like the Indiana Jones pull. Like you go through these ancient stuff and solve mysteries and shoot dudes, and it's great.
Yeah, it's simple. I think that it doesn't try and outdo itself. And I know this is controversial, but it is true. I preferred Rise of the Tomb Raider to Uncharted 4. I actually thought it was a more fun video game, which I know makes me a terrible human being, but what are you going to do? I just love it. I just think the way that Square Enix go about making those games, I don't know what it is. There's just something very, very... I don't know what it is. I really can't explain. I can't put my finger on it. I feel like the process and the setup and the foundation they lay there it just really makes me want, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? And I just, it's ever since they rebooted it in 2013 or wherever it was. I think they've smashed it. I really, really do. I think, like you say, I think the most important thing, whereas Uncharted sort of rose out of the ashes of Tomb Raider does not feel like a knockoff Uncharted, or at least not to me. It feels unique, and I think that's really important.
Yeah, and we were talking about Spider-Man. I think Tomb Raider got so stuck before that reboot. It just sort of got so like, what do we do? The anniversary, and where do we go from here? And it was nice for them to just be like, listen, we're going to start afresh again. This whole new approach, this whole new look, and it really worked. Rise of the Tomb Raider was massive, and it was really unintentionally intelligent to get it on 2 different platforms a year apart. And it just seems to be growing and growing, and I think Shadow of the Tomb Raider will be even better. It's going to be weird to see how they end the trilogy, though. Yeah,
well, they got a lot to. I won't spoil anything, but they got a lot to tie up now, which is good. Did you go see the movie?
I didn't know. I was like, I'll see it when it comes out on Sky Movies or something.
I haven't. I don't even know. Did it review well? I don't even know. It passed me by completely.
I think it was like, it was good. I think people were just like, that's a good 7, 8 out of 10.
Yeah, exactly. Did you see Ready Player One on the subject of video game?
I did, yes.
What did you think? Because I saw everybody on social media getting mad, and I've read the book, and I was like, okay, I thought it's a really enjoyable movie, and apparently I should be killed for saying that. What did you think?
Well, it seems to be one of those things where everyone who likes games or likes that culture is all up in arms about it. But everyone who goes in there just expecting a fun film enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was like, I was poised on the very much like, it was a fun film. I won't be rushing back to see it, but it was a fun film. I wasn't like, this is wrong, this is not correct, this would not work. Because it's just not like, it was, I think the main character was a bit of a wet blanket. That was probably my biggest criticism, but it was all fun, and it was all classic, like, action over the top, and a lot of nudges, not a lot of winks. So yeah,
I'm the same. Would I rush back to see it again? No. Will I ever watch it again? Probably not. But I actually thought, I made a big mistake. I went to see it in 4D, and I would implore anyone never to see a film in 4D.
What is 4D?
It's like you're on a roller coaster. The chair moves, you get water sprayed in your face, and sometimes you think it's going to be like gentle. It is aggressive. It is aggressive, man. When that first scene where you're sort of coming down on that sort of high shot, panning down, it was going nuts. I said to my mate, like, what is this? It's really, really crazy experience. And at one point, I did feel like I didn't think I need to leave. But no, I thought it was fun. I liked all the little references. I agree with you. The story was a bit wet. He was definitely, a bit of a flub. But I thought it was hilarious as well. I knew this was coming, obviously. But, he's talking to this girl on the internet, and everyone's like, she could be some dude in their pants. And it's the most attractive girl you've ever seen in your life. It's like, this is such a Hollywood film. But, but it was a Hollywood film. I think that it's a silly criticism to try and make because, saying, it's a Hollywood blockbuster. Yeah, by one of the biggest directors in all of Hollywood, who, of course, can make movies that aren't like that. But that is also what he's known for at the same time. I liked it. I thought it good. I thought it was nice to go watch a movie that had all these references to something, a hobby and a form of entertainment that we deal with every day. I thought that was okay. I'd never.
I was really worried it was going to be like, yeah, gamers, and doing like, when they mention like phrases, and they're just like, oh yeah, this means that. Oh my god, that's just super cool. I was so worried they'd be like all 90s like that, but they were actually quite cool with it. They were just like accessible, but not too like, hello, fellow children.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think the worst thing about it was Simon Pegg's American accent. I think that was the worst thing about the movie for me. But no, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun film, and it was a bit different, right? And I was happy because if you watch it close enough, there were Street Fighter characters in there, and that's all I ever need to enjoy a movie is a Street Fighter character. At one point in that final fight scene, you see E Honda for about half a second, and I'm always all about E Honda.
And the Gears of War Lancers in there.
Yeah, the Gears of War Lancers in there. Yeah, see? Marcus Phoenix should have been in it, though. How good would that have been? If Marcus Phoenix is the guy to finish it all off. That doesn't happen. That's not a spoiler. As far as I know, Marcus Phoenix is not in that video game. Can you imagine how long that took to get all those licenses approved?
That's what I was saying. I was turning to my girlfriend at the time, and I was just like, they must have spent so much.
I mean, in fact, how much money has it made? Because I'm looking it up. I always do this. I'm looking it up right now. Ready Player One. So how much did it cost? It must have cost in excess of, 200 million? Gotta be.
Probably.
Yeah, it cost 175 million, and so far it's made 400 million. So I guess it's got to cost more than 175 million. Most films cost that much. I don't know. Maybe they get a receipt of the gate or something. I don't know how it works.
Have you seen that news about GTA 5, by the way, on the note of money?
Is this getting rid of songs?
No.
Oh, right. No, I read a report today that GTA 5 has come out. Well, Rockstar have come out and said they've got to change some songs in GTA 5 because the licensing's up. They're like, yeah, we got to change it around. What's the other news about it?
Well, it was a report that it's the most successful media ever made. Albums, games, DVDs.
I did see that. Yeah. What was the number? Oh, so I meant GTA 4, not GTA 5. But what was the number for GTA 5? Did it have one?
It's made $6 billion.
I mean, that is...
And that, like, if you look at Avatar, it's absolutely like so much bigger than Avatar made. And it's just crazy to think, because when you say GTA 5, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, it's a good video game, successful. But you wouldn't say it's the most successful piece of media ever made. It's just like crazy.
I mean, it's nuts. I mean, it's
it sold 90 million copies.
90 million copies. I mean, it's like everybody in the world owns a copy of GTA, or someone's played it. Everyone in the world has played a copy of GTA. I think the thing for me for that is obviously it always gets a little bit of negative press in the mainstream when it comes out. But ultimately, did it make a difference? No. And I think that kind of goes to show that sometimes it is a lot of hot air, this stuff. I mean, you can argue it's one of the most violent video games there ever has been, but 90 million copies. How much? $6 billion? I mean, I think that kind of sums it up, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just man. It's like Michael Jackson's Thriller sold 66 million, and this has sold like...
It's even more impressive because I get you can argue that, but games cost more. Okay, but it sold more individual copies. That's what's more important here. So it made all this money. That's when you can sort of have that argument. But yeah, it sold 90 million copies. And like you say, Michael Jackson's Thriller, an album that came out during sort of the high point of sort of records and stuff like that. It's incredible. It's incredible. What a world we live in, eh? I tell you this, we're definitely getting GTA 6.
Yeah.
If anyone thought we were done with Grand Theft Auto, you're utterly, utterly wrong.
It would be wise for them to release it, not now-ish, but before the PS5 comes out, if that's coming out.
Yeah,
because they could do what they did with GTA 5, is release it now, and then release it again, and then just like get even more sales of the same game.
But it's true, because you release something, at the end of that console life, where you're without a shadow of a doubt, you're going to hit the biggest base. I mean, that makes perfect sense. Whether they can outsell 90 million, I don't know, but hey, man, I wouldn't want to bet against them.
No.
I wonder what the Red Dead Redemption team are like. They're like, we can't beat that. It's like, what do you want us to do?
Were saying in that piece, like, they're never going to do it again. And I mean, like, Rockstar, if anyone could do it again, I think it'd be Rockstar.
Well, absolutely, because especially a game like GTA, which just has... I mean, I think the original Red Dead Redemption, or the Rockstar's version of Red Dead Redemption, sold about 15 million. So that kind of goes to show I think Red Dead 2 could probably ship more than 15 million. I think they could probably do that given the hype, and I don't know. We'll see. Incredible, though. Absolutely incredible. Sam, is there anything else you want to touch on before we wrap this bad boy up?
No, I don't think so. I think that's all the biggest news / what we've been playing and seeing.
It's quiet. I mean, we will come back on Monday if you're around, Sam, or some point next week. We'll come back some point next week. We definitely will hit on God of War, because while I don't think it's actually out yet, But there will be reviews and stuff like that, so we can.
It comes out on the 20th, so it still won't be out by the time next Monday.
Okay, well that's good. Well, we can jump into to all of that, and I'm sure there's some other games coming out that I don't even know. I mean, do you know anything else that's coming out until the next week? I'm gonna look it up as I'm basically stalling for time.
I mean, Extinction has just come out.
Apparently, Extinction is awful. Now,
I've heard that too.
I've got it down. I'm doing it for Sky, so I am going to play it soon. But I've heard it's absolutely terrible.
Yeah,
but we will see. Oh, so Yakuza 6: The Song of Life comes out next week as well, as does Labo. So you got a lot going on.
As does Labo. You'll be loving that on your channel.
Oh, dude, it's Cardboard Central, right? But yeah, we'll touch upon all of those. Maybe not next week. Well, a little bit next week, but definitely the week after that, after they all smash a week Friday. But yeah, that's about it. Sam, where can people come find you if they want to come yell about you at games?
Again, can't remember. Do this every week. Can't remember.
Oh yeah, you never remember your Twitter. I'm gonna go look it up now. I'm gonna find you. Although I won't, because Twitter's search function is just the worst thing of all time. And unless I know your exact @thing, it won't give it to me. Look in the description; it will all be in there. I hate you, Twitter. You're so rubbish. As always, patreon.com/Simon316 is what makes all of this possible. If you've got $1 to spare and you'd like to throw it in the pot, that would be great. I'm on Twitter at Simon316. Yeah, like I say, look in the the description to get Sam's. If I can actually find him on this stupid Twitter machine, which I absolutely cannot, drives me nuts. We're on YouTube as well, youtube.com/The Miller Report Rules. I think that's everything, really. We've got a wrestling podcast. If you want to check that out, called Simon Miller's Pro Wrestling Podcast. Just a search for that. There is no Facebook group for the Week in Gaming because there just isn't. And I think that's pretty much it. Sam, thank you very much for joining me.
No worries.
And yeah, we will be back next week. You probably don't think that we will be, but we will be because life just keeps on turning.